everyone, welcome back. Today I am continuing to go through my eye palette collection and just show you what I have accumulated over the years for eyeshadow palettes. This is part 2. I tried to separate these into certain kind of categories. Part 1 was more of pricier palettes. Here in front of me I have not so pricey palettes. I have some Morphe, I have some ColourPop, Juvia's Place, and that sort of thing. Kind of mid-range, maybe indie, online type of palettes. Some of them are kind of mid-range, some of them are more affordable, but moving along nonetheless, this is part 2. So I forgot to mention this when I was talking about Pur before, but I do have the Pur and BoxyCharm palette, and this is this one. I do have one by Alamar, thanks to BoxyCharm, as most of us got it through, and it's a beautiful palette, and this is the first one, I can't speak Spanish at all, Reina del Caribe. Anyway, this is volume 1. I do have several Beauty Creations palettes here. I do have the Emerald palette, and this is a dupe, I believe, for the Subculture, I'm not sure. Then I have the Esmeralda 2, which I believe was called Emerald 2 at one point, or the Emerald was called Esmeralda 1. I'm not sure, but this one is called Esmeralda 2. I have the Tease Me palette. I have the Eye Bloom palette. And I have the Annette 69 palette. Moving along, I do have a few Morphe palettes. I have the very dirty Jaclyn Hill palette. This was one from the day she released it, so the packaging is not wipeable. Then I have the 35E, which is one of my favorite palettes. It's an all shimmer palette. Oops, but I purchased this around the time that the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette came out, just because I felt like it had a lot of similar shades in it, and I really wanted this shimmer kind of shades that were in that palette. I didn't necessarily need them as matte because I have other palettes that I can use with that, so that kind of is what drove me to get this particular palette. And then I have the 35F palette. And as boring as this palette may look, I do appreciate this palette because all of these rows are shimmer except for this top one. This top one here is all matte, and it's pretty much, you pick any color you want for your lid, and then you have your transition, your crease, everything you need in this row here. I do have several from CColor Cosmetics. I have the Fairy Tale palette, which is a dupe for the Too Faced Clover palette. I have the Savanna palette, which is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Safari palette. I have the Sundown palette, which is a dupe for the Sunset palette. I always get them confused. And then I have the Tropical palette, which is a dupe for the Tropical palette. I think that's what it's called by Natasha Denona. I only have a few ColourPop palettes. I thought I had more, but I guess this is all I have. I've restrained myself pretty well over the years, I guess. I do have this palette. This is just, most of these single shadows are ColourPop. It's just this row here of glitters, and I think this one here. Those are Makeup Revolution glitters, but the rest of the palettes here in the palette are ColourPop. I have the Dream Street palette. I have the Wet palette. The Semi-Precious palette. And the My Little Pony palette. Then I have a few Juvia's Place palettes. I got these as a bundle when they had it on sale. They might still have it on sale. There are a few now that they've come out over the last year that I wouldn't mind picking up. But for now, restraining myself, this is what I have. I have the Magic palette. I have the Nubian 2. The Masquerade Mini. Getting my fingers stuck in it. the Zulu, the Saharan, some of these are very dirty, and the Nubian. I have the Blink BoxyCharm Electric Eyes palette. I have the CoverGirl TruBlend Jewels palette. The Crowne Glam Metals. One of my favorite palettes of all time is by Laqa. It's their Desert Mirage. The Studio Makeup On The Go Cool Down palette. I have a couple here by IBY. I have their Poolside palette and their City Limits palette. I have the Winky Lux Kitten palette. I have the Suva Beauty Protege palette. The Pur Cosmetics Buff Collection. And the Mellow Cosmetics Treasure Chest. By Moira Cosmetics, I have the Dreamscapes palette. BH Cosmetics Royal Affair. I have a couple by Amoris US. I have the Lady Boss. And one of the newer ones to my collection, the Bubble Pop. And then I do have another palette with just some singles. I did buy this palette off of Amazon, and I have to say it's pretty nice. Don't judge the grossness going on in it because I am not easy on my shadows clearly, but it is a magnetic palette. It does have a mirror in it. And then I just have various single shadows. Most of these I purchased or I got off of, most of these shadows are ones that I got from Ipsy that were singles and I just depotted. I find if they come in the cardboard, it's super easy just to put them in here. When they come in actual plastic packaging, I have a hard time getting them out. So I think in the future when I get ones in plastic packaging that are actual eyeshadows, I'm just going to pass them along because I don't use them as singles. I don't really have anywhere to keep them unless I put them in something like this, and I tend to not gravitate to them if I have them in a separate drawer. So if they come in like cardboard packaging or in their own little sleeve, then I'll put them in here. But otherwise, it's not worth me breaking them to, it's not worth me breaking them to get them into this palette. I have not finessed that art of depotting yet, and I would have to say, Ipsy. Like, I like the color blue, but this, and this are all from Ipsy over the last year that I've gotten, and they are all different, and I like them all, but can I get some different colors? Like, I got this from Ipsy and these, but it'd be nice to get a couple other ones too. Just saying. And that concludes part 2 of my eyeshadow palette collection. Do you have any of these palettes? Are any of these on your wish list? Are any of these some of your favorites? Or do you absolutely despise any of these ones? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you have a great day.